Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to United vs. Everybody. This is the channel basically powered by, made by. Really, it's here for you. This is your guys' channel. I'm just the host. I'm Sean. I'm here to pose the questions. I'm here to pose the topics. I'm here to make sure you guys' opinions are put at the forefront of everything. But we are back tonight with another transfer talk, a Man United transfer news roundup. I had some time. Thought I'd check in with everybody, see how you guys were doing this night, and get your thoughts on some of the afternoon's rumors and developments as it pertains to Manchester United and the final few days of the January transfer window. So, despite its name, the January window doesn't close until the early days of February. So, Danny B in the house. Good to see you, my Irish brother from another mother. How are you, my friend? You know, my grandmother and her twin were actually born in Ireland before they came to Michigan. So right there. And as you know, my name is pretty Irish. Hard to get more Irish than that. I think if it was any more Irish, my name would be, patio furniture or something. I don't know, something more Irish than mine. But it is what it is. Usman, good to see you, my friend. Haven't been on for a long time because my brother's wife gave birth to twins, and they both. Oh no! Oh, sorry to hear that, bud. Really hard. My thoughts and condolences to you and your family, my friend. That's so hard. So sorry to hear that, man. Thoughts and prayers with you, my friend. But it is good to see you again, in spite of the circumstances. But sorry to hear that. We're going to talk a little bit about the transfers tonight. The transfer streams are a bit more chill, as you guys know. A little bit behind just because I had to go change the thumbnail. I really didn't realize that Autospell put the wrong villain for the title. So I had to go back and change that before people started coming for me. Because I don't think Rashford is a villain, like a bad guy, but villain it's a play on words, but something, we're going to talk about that. So quick little stream tonight, but before we do get started, please go ahead and hit that like button for me. You'll see that the subscribers mode is on for the chat because I want to make sure that the people who are here supporting the channel get put out there first and foremost. So appreciate that. Subscribe if you're new. If you want to get involved in the chat, we are on the road to 3K. We are just a couple subscribers shy of 2,100. I think we're at 2,098. So with your help, we could get to 2,100. But hit the bell if you want to make sure you don't miss out on anything. And then check out the membership perks if you want to get more involved in the channel content, specifically scouting reports, topics of discussion for streams and things. And then obviously there's some ways you guys can actually join in on the streams as well if you want to take a look at those. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. Picking up where we left off yesterday with some Matthias Tell. It's all been kicking off today with Matthias Tell. Left, right, Romano, Ornstein, all these, everyone's chiming in today because it's pretty public what's going on right now. But first bit of news we got today was from Fabrizio Romano. Apparently Daniel Levy, the Tottenham chairman, traveled to Munich today in order to accelerate talks for Matthias Tell. We know Spurs really, really want Matthias Tell. They do need a bit of help. I think Arsenal could probably use some help as well. But apparently Daniel Levy and Spurs already had an agreement with Bayern. I think it was for like around 50 million, I want to say. And they were trying to talk now with Matthias Tell and his agent, both of whom were in Munich as well. Spurs are aware of interest from other clubs, so they were trying to get that going. Romano followed that up later on today, though, to say that he had rejected Spurs' proposal, Matthias Tell. They wanted to assess all their options. He had rejected it, and Spurs were now moving on to other targets. Tell was waiting for some other bids. We know United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Villa all have been interested as well. Then David Ornstein chimed in, wrapping things up, and he says that Tell told Tottenham he plans to stay at Bayern Munich and reassess his options in the summer. Despite the battle to sign in this window, Spurs had reached that agreement, but he expressed interest in staying in Munich. And then, wrap it all, if you guys are keeping along, if you have to write it down, it's fine. I had to as well. I'm cheating. I'm reading it. Paul O'Keefe, the guy who broke some of the news earlier on in the week, chimed in finally later this night, and he says it's actually Tell is waiting for Manchester United, or he's going to stay at Bayern until the summer. It sounds like the only club he'd be willing to leave right now for on loan would be United. Otherwise, he's going to wait until the summer. So what a transfer saga this has turned out to be. Danny says there's a couple of young CDMs in Brazil look good, pal. Throw the names out there, man. You know you get carte blanche, Danny. You are the one who gets the free pass when it comes to scouting reports because you are on top of things. Not to diss anyone else, just Danny is just, he's upper echelon. He's a couple of deviations to the right, so I appreciate that. So Danny gets a freebie. So one of those other targets that Spurs could be looking at, while we're still on this subject, could be Alejandro Garnacho, according to Simon Jones and Mail Sport. Sounds like maybe Spurs are in the mood for an attacker. They do need some help. Sounds like they want some young blood. Could be interesting. I don't think Garnacho is going anywhere. We're going to talk a little bit about that later. But what do you guys make of this Matthias Tell updates? We saw that's like 3 or 4 different updates today, just in the span of when we spoke last this morning. Spurs, Danny Levy went over there, pulled a Richard Arnold and John Murtaugh, came back empty-handed. Tell rejected some other people. We want him. We can't afford him. We might be waiting for Rashford to get off the books. Who knows? But it's interesting. Pablo Lucio says, Danny, interesting. I'll write him down, Danny. I will write him down as soon as I find something to write down. I'm going to use my notebook from my clients earlier. I won't make sure this is... You guys can't see anything. Hey-o. All right. I will look him up. Where does he play? Let me know. Danny says, the rest, you're going to have to watch some more. Yeah. Keep at it, man. And if you let me know who you find. Rob, welcome, my friend. Rob Taft back in the chat. Spurs can do one. Garnacho isn't going. Yeah, I don't think Garnacho is going to Spurs. If he was going to go, he's not going to Spurs. That would be a huge step down from United. Literally, not only historically, but literally, they are back below us in the table, if you can believe it. I told you guys, Ange is just the boomerang Bielsa. The guy he's got one way of playing. It's attack, 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 and it didn't take long to find it out. It didn't take long to exploit it. And it didn't take long for that system to start putting a lot of strain on his players. Mickey Van de Ven has had how many injuries since Postecoglou showed up? I mean, come on. You can't keep playing that way. Rob says, money splashing around after Villa got raided. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Villa, they got that Saudi money now. Everybody knows it. So it's good for them. I mean, they need to strengthen. I know they lost Mo Diaby, which I was shocked that he left so soon because I really liked Mo Diaby when he was at Leverkusen. They brought in Leon Bailey a few years back, who I really liked as well. Obviously, they still have Wally Watkins kicking around. John Duran is now at Al Nassr. Was it Villa or was it West Ham who signed Crescencio Somerville? I can't remember now. All of these kids start looking the same and they start blurring in my mind. But one of you guys will let me know in the chat who I'm thinking of. But yeah, so Spurs rumored to be interested in Garnacho after moving on from Matthias Tell. Really, after being rejected by Matthias Tell. Let's have it right. United and Villa still in the race to sign Tell. Arsenal and Chelsea are still kind of waiting in the wings. That's coming from Fabrice Hawkins. But Mike McGrath also chimed in and said Aston Villa are also potentially looking at Marco Asensio as well. You remember Asensio joined PSG. I think it was for free as well. And he's been playing a little bit more regularly. Another one that Madrid really messed up. You guys, Madrid, you can't keep overspending and then letting people leave for free. That's our job. Okay, you can't keep doing it. Okay, we have the patent on that. We have the monopoly on making horrible, horrible transfer decisions and losing people for free. Don't take that from us. We're first in being last when it comes to transfers. All right, stay in your lane, Madrid. All right. Stay in your lane, keep with your multiple level stadiums and your Champions Leagues and whatnot, but let us do our thing. Don't try to take that from us. Danny says he's at Flamengo. All right. I'll make a note, Danny boy, and see what we're looking at. Danny, did you ever end up buying FC25? I meant to ask you that the other day. I forgot. Because Ethan Ennis is now in FC25 because he's on loan at Doncaster Rovers. So I thought you might be interested to see that. But yeah, Ethan Ennis now in the game. So fun. Then he says, wish Villa just bought Rashford loan obligation. Yeah, I mean, something's got to give. I wouldn't mind letting Rashford go to Villa. Would you guys let Rashford go to Villa? Let me go. Oops, wrong button. Let me put something in the chat here. Let me start a poll here. Would you be okay? Oops. Rashford, I can tell you. You guys let me know. I know there's this thing we don't like selling to Premier League clubs. Villa are up there. Obviously, they're in the Champions League still. But it's not the same as, in my opinion, selling to like Arsenal, selling to Chelsea, City or Liverpool, whatever. Like it's a little different. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, right? But let's see. Yo, pay for his fare. The Uber is cheap, man. I use Uber for the first time this last trip when Justin and I were over there. Rich getting involved. Good day, Rich. How are you? I'll drive him there. I mean, I'll pay for the Uber, dude. Uber. I mean, I'm gonna sound like an idiot, like I just fell off the truck or something. But Uber is awesome. I didn't realize how convenient Uber is. This whole time I thought it was like a taxi where you're like they got to come pick you up and it's gonna take a while. Like no, this Uber's like there are Ubers everywhere. They're like rats. They're just you say you got an Uber, they're like, all right, we'll be there in 20 seconds. It'll be right out. I'm like, this is amazing. And it's so cheap. Like, I mean, maybe I just don't have much, because I don't really take cabs. I think I've only taken a cabs a couple times, and that's only when I've been to England. So, but that's crazy. Rich says good jersey choice tonight. Yeah, I wore this one the other day, and I just kind of grabbed it off the pile real quick and threw it on. But I have way too many. It's a really sad indictment of how much money I spend on shirts. But this one, most of them are from eBay. So, what are you guys saying in the poll? Would you be okay selling Rashford to Aston Villa? I mean, you guys seem to think that's totally fine. So, I'll go ahead and end that one. But Aston Villa might be in the race for Matthias Tell, but with John Duran heading to the Saudi League, their list of replacements could include a Manchester United player. So again, they're looking at Marcus Rashford. It sounds like, according to Laurie Whitwell, that Rashford is being looked at by Villa at the request of Unai Emery, who is apparently a big fan of him. That was the big news coming out today, is that they want Marcus Rashford. This is coming on the heels of Mateo Moretto claiming earlier that Barcelona are pretty much all but resigned to not getting Rashford due to their FFP situation, even though it's his dream to play there. I mean, even if he somehow got to Barcelona, do we really think that Rashford's going to play if he goes there, or he's just going to get mired in regulations and fines and deferred wages and restrictions, I mean, from wages? I mean, it's a little ridiculous. Neil Driscoll back in the house. Good to see you, my friend. How are you? Let me know how you guys are doing. It has been crazy weather here today. It's been raining all day, which has been crap. When I'm trying to get over sinuses and stuff, nonstop rain is crap. But now that it's later and the temperatures drop, rain has turned to just really angry snow. Like it looks like someone's up there throwing it forcefully at the ground. It's embarrassing. But as far as Villa's interest in Rashford goes, so reportedly Villa want to loan Rashford, which honestly is fine. But if there's any option or obligation to buy there, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing us maybe stick it a little bit because we know that Villa just got a ton of money for John Duran. They're also in Champions League, so they're getting money from that as well. We know how much money Villa are holding, basically. So I wouldn't have a problem with that. Dana says he plays 30 minutes, flick sub him off, and Rashford sits on bench till the end of the season. Yeah, I mean, they still, if you guys remember from yesterday's video, there's just some random Danny Olmo updates. They still haven't fully, they're not out of the woods yet when it comes to Danny Olmo, Barcelona. They got another 3-month temporary registration while La Liga basically reviews the case. And La Liga president actually was talking publicly yesterday about how they don't want him to be registered. There are rules involved. They're pushing back. So we haven't seen the end of the Danny Olmo saga, but this it's just when you think there are clubs worse than United when it comes to this kind of shit. You know, Barcelona say hold my beer. But as far as that Rashford's future at United to go, I think we can all pretty much agree. It seems like the bridge is pretty much all but burnt as far as Marcus Rashford and Ruben Amorim go. It is a bit of a shame too because Rashford is just one of those players who it really should have gone differently. Manchester born, came to the academy, plays in that position we love. He's been here for a long time. It shouldn't have gone this way, but it has, and it's on Rashford. And Amorim said as much the other day, claiming that he wants United here. Rashford here. He says we're a better team with Rashford. We could use his pace and his directness up front, but Amorim also said he has to change. He has to change in order to get his spot back. I said too after that City match, that derby when he was dropped, like it's up to Rashford. And I said the same thing about Garnacho as well. It's up to those two to decide what they want to do with their future. Garnacho took a different response, though, to Rashford. He got off social media, which was one of the things getting him into trouble. He got his head down. He got to work. He was patient, and he did what he had to do. And Amorim noticed this. He gave him minutes. He trusted him. Had nothing but praise after the victory against FCSB. And Garnacho played a big role in that with an assist. This is what Amorim had to say after that match about Garnacho. He said he changed right away from that game against City when he was not in the squad. He changed in everything, the approach when I talk with him, the way he recovers. Remember, one of the things that was reported that there was a situation where Garnacho and Amorim were talking on the touchline, and Garnacho had kind of walked away in a hurry without kind of listening to what Amorim had to say, which reportedly is what Amorim didn't like. But interesting that he kind of made a point to it here. He added, he understands sometimes, Garnacho, that I'm a different coach, that I'm demanding in my way. Sometimes it's hard, the first impact. It's a different kind of coach, and he understands that it's never in a bad way. It's always for him, but I'm a different person. I think all the merit is from Garnacho, and he's improving, and we want to continue to improve with Garnacho. Today, he understood the position, the moments of playing inside, outside, the connection with Dallo. I think he is improving a lot, and I fully agree. In terms of him understanding position, these 10s in Amorim's system are not necessarily always going to be narrow. They're going to operate in those channels as kind of a starting point, but they're going to have freedom to kind of get wide. Let me take this off the screen so y'all can see what I'm talking about here. They have freedom to get wide. They have a freedom like what Garnacho was doing yesterday, getting wide, facing inward, and allowing for a little bit of that underlap. We saw him and Dallo kind of really working that over and underlap. And that's what your 10s can do. Bruno has done that as well when he's played on that left 10. He's gotten wide, picked up the ball, worked it wide, face inward, and tried to feed other players and get them involved. That's exactly what Garnacho is doing there. They're basically inverted wingers, but they're inverted wingers who start from a much narrower position than what Garnacho might be used to. And so it was good to see him, Amorim, kind of recognize that. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Danny says, Fati loan swap. I'm surprised we haven't heard that. We haven't heard much of Ansu Fati since he joined Barca and he got that injury. I think he was at Brighton, wasn't he? Was that last year or the year before? He was on loan at Brighton. Didn't really hear much there. Obviously, Brighton decided. I don't know if Brighton had an option or an obligation or whatever, but he's not at Brighton anymore. I wouldn't take Ansu Fati personally, but that's just me. I think there are many other players out there who I would take before that. Rayan Cherki is one of them. So Rob says, Rashford was no Bale or Giggs. They were better and not lazy. I mean, if you ask Madrid fans, they might give you a different assessment of Gareth Bale. But Gareth Bale, I love Gareth Bale. I thought Gareth Bale was such an underappreciated player when he was at Real Madrid. He single-handedly won them a few trophies, and those Champions League goals against Liverpool were a thing of beauty. Box, good to see you again, my friend. Hope you are doing well. Rob says 100% agree about Garnacho. I said a lot about Garnacho. I don't know exactly what resonated, but glad that you're vibing with some of it because I can go off on a tangent every now and then. But Bexy, welcome. How are you? Good to see you again. Surely Rashford leaves tonight. I mean, we'll see. There's still a couple more days of the transfer window. Transfer window doesn't officially close for another few days. I think, Monday or something. So we got a few days. Doesn't have to be right away. But it's all about, it's kind of like the Ronaldo situation. Now, you remember, Ronaldo wanted to leave the summer that Ten Hag arrived, but nobody wanted to buy him. And so he had to basically go and do this interview with Piers Morgan while he was on international duty, by the way. So he knew he wasn't going to come back to United anytime soon to face Ten Hag. And gave that interview to basically force his hand. Almost very similar to what Rashford did with the Henry Winter situation. Nobody was in for him. He thought that maybe we'd get him out of here, and nobody's in for him. It just is what it is. Danny says, my hope last weekend for Naipan was 1% ruined by my whole weekend. Now he was undecided, heading back to Rosenborg. My hope is now back to 50%. We land him in the summer. I like Naipan. It's just him going back to Rosenborg now does kind of throw a spanner in the works, unless we do a situation maybe where, because the Rosenborg's season doesn't coincide with us. It's kind of like the MLS or like some of the South American leagues. The season doesn't go from August to May. It goes from like spring until first week of December, and then it stops for a little bit. And so he's in his off season now. Basically, he's in his summer break right now, night pen, and you know this, Danny. So the interesting thing is maybe we could do something like I've suggested that we should have done last summer, where it's our window. We get an agreement basically for Rosenborg, and then basically he joins us mid-season, like January after his season ends or something. Maybe we could work something like that out now that he's going to have another little bit of time. I'd be interested to see how he does with another season under his belt at Rosenborg. Maybe he can replicate. If he can replicate, then it's a no-brainer. But that's the thing. I want to see him replicate it. Danny says, we said a couple weeks back, Garnacho only learning this system, never played before. He will improve. Yeah, and I've said, give him time, but it's going to be up to him, right? If he wants to learn this system, if he wants to try to adapt in his game a little bit, or if he would rather go someplace that just plays the way he wants to play. It's all going to be up to Garnacho. And not only that, but the stuff off the pitch is going to be up to Garnacho too. He's really going to have to decide, what his career is going to look like. You guys mentioned Giggs and Bale. Like Giggs had to stop doing a lot of things when he realized that those things were going to ruin his career. There's that famous anecdote of him at a party with Lee Sharp, and Fergie showed up and like went crazy, and Giggs like snuck out and stuff, and Sharpie got in trouble. But Giggs realized that moment, like he's got to stop doing stuff like that. And not only that, he's got to adapt later on as he got older. He started doing yoga, acupuncture, all that kind of stuff to just prolong his career and that's why Giggs played till he was like 40. You have to be able to do that. Not every player is going to play to that long. Box says Fadi on 270K. That is insane. That is ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Rich, is that your Welsh bias talking? Your Welsh is showing, buddy. Bale was always. I always rated Gareth Bale. I like him a lot. I think that his game was short. His career was shortened a little bit just by the nature of who he was as a player. Just when your game is just all pace and power, you're going to put a lot more strain on your legs, your back, and stuff much quicker than someone maybe like a center half or something would. So. And he, the injuries did finally catch up to him. I liked Gareth Bale a lot. He's someone I've always wanted at United when he was in his prime. I know we were linked with him a couple times, but Rich has overhead kick versus Liverpool in the CL final, one of my favorite non-United goals. Yeah, that goal, I knew as soon as that goal went in that was the year that Ronaldo was leaving, because Ronaldo just wasn't getting it done. Bale comes on, scores a couple of absolute screamers. I mean, it helps when Loris Karius basically just like makes a field goal with his gloves and lets that rocket in as well. But Rob Taff, Zidane had an issue with Bale, but for Wales, Bale took us to great places. Zidane didn't rate Giggs either, despite losing when Giggs played against him, anti-Welsh. Yes, that's the one criticism I have for Zidane. And this is the thing, and you guys know Justin. Justin's also a big Madrid fan, but like to manage Madrid is less about tactics and more about personality. It's more about ego. You have to manage Madrid, you have to walk into that dressing room and be the biggest personality, the biggest ego, the biggest aura in that dressing room. That's why only guys like Zidane and Ancelotti in recent years have been able to do that, because Ancelotti, arguably one of the best managers right now in the world, and Zidane, he walks into any room and commands. It's kind of like Eric Cantona. If Eric Cantona walked in the United dressing room, it would command that same sort of aura. If Beckham walked into that dressing room, it'd the same exact thing. That's what you have to manage Madrid. Zidane's issue, and I guess it was an issue because they won 3 Champions Leagues in a row, but he made it very simple. He had his best players. He played him where he wanted to play, and that was it. There's nothing else to it. But he probably could have used Bale a little bit more. But Bale, the Madrid fans really just were not happy with Bale, man. I think that one flag for that Wales golf Madrid kind of thing in that order flag kind of ruined it for him. Box says, good to see Giggs got married and became settled. Yeah, Giggs gets a lot of hate for a lot of off the pitch stuff. I think people need to look a little bit more closely into some of that stuff, especially the more recent stuff. I'm not going to get into it, but people need to look more closely into that instead of just reading headlines. And when you look more closely into the recent stuff with Giggs, you'll see that the guy is, you guys can look it up. I'm not going to get into it, but Rob said Giggs had to stop using certain cars because I didn't know that much. Interesting. He had to stop using certain cars. If you guys have ever watched the Class of '92 documentary that came out about 12 years ago, some of that stuff's just hilarious. The stuff they used to do to Becks when they were on, because Beckham has OCD, and so he's very clean, he's very tidy. The guy has like 3 different refrigerators, for gosh sakes, like for waters and like vegetables and for like other things. Like the guy and everything in his fridges are lined up very. And they used to get into his car and they would just start stomping their muddy boots around, and Bex would just lose it. I'm here for it. I have no problem with that. But Giggs is hilarious, by the way. If you guys ever watch any of the things, whether it's Life of Ryan, the documentary when he took over as player manager, or the Class of '92, or the Class of '92 out of their league documentary when they bought Salford and stuff. That stuff's hilarious. I've got nothing but time for any of that. But it's going to be interesting. So getting back to some of the Matthias Tell stuff. So if a deal for Matthias Tell can't be reached, there's a rumor going around today, and I wanted you guys' thoughts on this because this kind of came out of nowhere, and then it started really gathering steam in the last couple hours. There's a rumor that United could still move for an attacker before the window closes. Now, this is coming from Santi Ona, who is also known as Santi JFM on Twitter. Very, very well-respected source. He's followed by guys like David Ornstein and whatnot. Now, I'm not trying to get into social media law and say that means he's 100% legit. I'm just saying, I'm giving you context. You guys know what I say. Context is key. So this is coming from Santi J. He's claimed that United have contacted VfB Stuttgart to inquire about El Bilal Touré and his current situation. He's 20 years old. He's a Malian attacker. He's on loan at Stuttgart right now from Atalanta, who brought him to Italy after they sold Rasmus Højlund to us 2 years ago. Something's not quite right about this rumor, though. Simply, for a couple of reasons. Torre's on loan right now, so it can kind of like the Osimhen situation. It's a very complicated situation, and to try to unravel that from a logistical, financial, paperwork standpoint this late in the transfer window just seems like an exercise in futility. And I think that because that he's also been out for 2 months with a metatarsal fracture, I think, so he's injured, basically, is what the rumor is. Not the rumor, but what the news is. Now, the report gets a little more complicated. So the report claims that Stuttgart could exercise. They have an option to buy him from Atalanta. So the report claims they could exercise that option, turn around, sell him to United, but then basically keep him on loan at Stuttgart until the summer when we would bring him to United on a permanent move. So exactly, you have to have like a map for this. It took me a while to get this down on paper. It's a little bit ridiculous. Bach says he'd pay the 19 million for Turkey. Yeah, I think a lot of us would. I'd pay 25, 30 million for Turkey. He's that good in terms of his link up and stuff in the final third. Bach says Undav has been doing well at Stuttgart. Yeah, he didn't do well in the Premier League though, did he? Wasn't he at Brighton for a bit, Undav? So getting back to El Bilal Touré. So this came out of nowhere. It's coming from a decently credible source. It's just a really weird rumor. I'm not sure that a striker who is sent out on loan to improve is going to necessarily move the needle for us. This seems like another. I mean, he's 23, but at the same time, he's not really been prolific in terms of numbers. And I want someone who's prolific in terms of numbers. I need someone who can create chances for themselves, who can link up with someone who's clinical as well. It's just a weird random link. I mean, nevertheless, I don't write it. I just share it with you guys. Let me know what you guys think. What they say here. What are we saying here? Rich says maybe Zizi was bitter that we beat them in 99. There's a lot of people that are bitter that we beat them in 99. You know what I'm bitter about from 99 is Beckham not winning a Ballon d'Or over Rivaldo. That was some bullshit. Rich says Giggs ripped apart Italian teams early. Who hasn't Giggs ripped apart, honestly, in football? The guy was an absolute menace on the pitch. It was like Giggs was ice skating and everyone else just forgot their skates back in his pomp in the late 90s especially. The guy was an absolute monster to play against. I loved watching Giggs. Giggs is probably one of my favorite players. You guys can't see the jersey because it fell, but it's up there. But yeah, Giggs, I love Giggs to death. I'm still kicking myself for not running and getting a photo with him when I was there a couple of years ago when we went to the Salford match, and he and Nicky Butt and Alex Bruce, interestingly enough, were about 4 or 5 rows in front of us because they own the club. So I was a little bit starstruck. I'm not really a selfie kind of guy because I'm old, but I'm kicking myself for not doing it. But still, um, Rich. Oh, what's this guy saying? Danny, was there links to us and Turkey on caught offside? We talked about that. Who was that yesterday? Danny, I'm trying to remember. I'll find it. Don't worry. Let me look it up since this is what we do live here. So the Turkey links, I spoke about that this morning, actually, Danny, and I forget who that was coming from. Let me find it for you once this computer wants to get going. I had the slides on my old computer, so it's a little slower, but let me check and see. That was coming from caught offside yesterday, Danny. You are correct. So, box is a bit of everything, to be honest. Usually highlights. You're talking about what leagues you watch. Gabby is really bitter. 24-25 wins against Villa, possibly. Gabby Agbanlahor can do one. What's the worst thing about Gabby Agbanlahor, Rich, is that he literally has admitted that he doesn't actually think a lot and feel the way he does when it comes to United. It's all for show, basically. I'm sure there's a little bit of bitter there, but he says it's mostly a persona because that's just what gets an audience, which is kind of sad. But anyone remember when Gabby's heat map was 3 touches in the first half? Does anybody remember Gabby? If Gabby Agbanlahor wasn't on TalkSport, would anybody even remember that he was a person at this point in time? I don't remember him ever being an issue. I don't remember anything from him when he was playing actually standing. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm just, if he's going to dish it out, then he's going to have to take it. So interesting though. But guys, let me know if you've heard anything about this El Bilal Torre fellow. I'm admit I haven't watched a whole lot of Stuttgart. I know that when Garassi was there, he was the talk of the town. Seems like they've had some problems replicating that. But Torre at Atalanta, on loan at Stuttgart, injured right now. We were linked. I don't really buy any of it, but it is what it is. Yeah, man, Rich, it's low hanging fruit, man. It's to hit United, to bash United, to be negative even when you don't want to. It's what gets clicks. People love to hate us. It is what it is. Anybody on Patrick Dorgu watch today will remember that he's pretty much all but wrapped up. He did do his social media, and he was in Manchester recently, but he's back in Italy. And he was an unused sub today for Lecce, and what probably was his final appearance for them. They faced off against Parma today in Serie A. I think they won, but he again was an unused sub, so I didn't watch the full match. I watched like the first half, and then I had to go do a bunch of stuff. So I didn't see if there was any goodbyes or anything. So you guys let me know if anybody was on Dorgu watch, if anybody watched any of that. We know his medical was delayed a little bit, but word is he'll be in Manchester this weekend. He's flying out this weekend to get that sorted. Maybe we could see an announcement. We'll probably see an announcement on Monday. You guys know we like those deadline day announcements. I'm still frustrated. I have no problem with Dorgu. I'm glad that we didn't end up paying as much as the initial rumors were. And we'll talk about this in another video, but I'm just frustrated that we just wait so long to get stuff done. Like, it just frustrates the hell out of me, but it's annoying. Danny says, we need to hit South American market. U20 International South American Cup is on now. Few players look good. Pal, Prado, Santana for Brazil. Couple for Argentina. Yeah, you had mentioned Santana. I think what's his name? Israel or something. I can't remember his name now. I think it was in a comment the other day. Prado sounds familiar. That name sounds very, very familiar. I'm gonna have to go look that up again. Box is jumping in. What do you got to say for me, Box? Buck says, we should be patient with Dorgu. He's still a developmental player. Yeah, and that's another point of frustration with me is that he's 20 years old. Physically, he's there. I think physically he can handle, but he's 20. So it's another player who I don't think is going to come in and be in and around the first team as much, at least in and around the starting 11, as much as people might think, which is going to be frustrating for a lot of people, myself included, because we needed help. We needed first team ready players in January. We've lost a couple players. Obviously, Rashford's not playing. Anthony's not playing. We sent some people on loan as well. I think that we needed some help. We needed some bodies who could come in and make an instant impact. I'm not saying you go out and buy stars right away, but we needed something other than that. Cherki is available out there. Cherki could come in and make a difference. Paez is playing. Interesting. So we saw some news earlier today. Remember, we spoke earlier this morning. Again, this is the second stream of the day. That United are already working on a summer deal for 17-year-old Sporting Lisbon wingback Giovanni Kenda. Talked about that a little bit. We were linked with him. Obviously, as soon as Amorim was announced, the links to Sporting players were already flying, and Kenda is one of the big names on there. Didn't take long for the MEN, though, to already start putting a negative spin on the rumors. Like, you can't even put, like, it's one thing to put negative spin on actual stuff, but now they're putting a negative spin on rumors, which is just a new low. Again, Rich, they love to hate us, man. The headline today on an MEN piece covering this rumored link to United and Giovanni Kenda, this is what the headline reads. Tell me how bullshit this is. Ineos could be repeating Man United Erik ten Hag transfer mistake under Ruben Amorim. Give you one guess what the substance of that article is about. You guys let me know. Basically, the article is all about the peril, the mistakes made, the poor judgment in signing former players for managers. Like, that's basically the article is like, they could be about to make the same mistake, signing a former player for Ruben Amorim. We saw this crash and burn under Ten Hag. Like, they could not wait to start in. Box says, but confused over the Kenda deal. I've seen reports of 33 million, but a few months ago I saw 100 million release clause for Kenda. Yeah, there's always going to be the reports, man. It's a little bit ridiculous. The prices, who knows the price? I think the price tag we reported earlier was like 40 million euros was the price on this morning's rumors, if I remember correctly. Danny B jumping in again. If you guys ever want to learn more about some South American players, listen to the names that Danny B throws out there, because the guy is on top of it. Breno Biden, is that going to be a thing? Bidon. Interesting. Danny's giving me homework. Not that I can have enough of that already. But yeah, so the MEN already putting a spin on rumors. Like, it used to be, you put a negative spin on actual news. Now they're just putting a spin on rumors. So couldn't wait to get started. Couldn't wait to start kicking people. It's a little bit ridiculous. Chwak says, Joe, son. We don't want to get started on that conversation. Politics is ridiculous right now. For anybody who's not in the U.S., it's a bit out there. Trump is already making some crazy decisions that are really, really frustrating. So like Trump just basically canceled all like government grants basically for projects and funding and things. One of those grants had to do with my wife. She was supposed to go out of town next week to go down to Florida to work with like people who work with marine animals and whatnot in terms of like trauma and grief and things like that. She was going to be part of a team that was going down there, and it was funded by grants. Now that's all been canceled. She's not going anymore, and she's super, super frustrated about it, which is ridiculous because this trip has been planned for months, and she was really looking forward to it. Now it's not going to happen. So because the project lost its funding because reasons, but it's a little ridiculous, and this is the kind of crap we get to deal with. It's really unfortunate that this is the way politics works, but that's about the extent of my knowledge of politics, is because this is like one of the first times I've had firsthand experience with it. So in any case, those are the transfer rumors today. I'll jump back online real quick before I let you guys get out of here. And let me know if you guys have seen anything else that I haven't talked about today. I want to see if there's anything else that's popped up since we've been live. And usually not, because it's so late. Oh, we've got some footage here of Patrick Dorgu saying goodbye to the Lecce fans. I'll put it up on your screen so you guys can see it. What I'm looking at here. Where are we at here? So this is Patrick Dorgu saying goodbye to the Lecce fans. I'll put it back to the beginning for you. Mute that. So it's pretty much says like the guy's leaving, right? I mean, that's pretty much the rule. If you say goodbye like that after a match, if your teammates are pushing you and you're going to it, yeah. And like Danny's saying, like, thank God he didn't play, because that was one of the things I was worried about Danny when I saw him on the bench today. Was that he's going to play, and in true fashion, he was going to get injured, and he's going to just like evolve the whole injuries thing at United and be injured before he even gets here. So interesting stuff, but it does sound like we can pretty much call that a done deal at this point. Dorgu saying goodbye to everyone. He was an unused sub, so interesting. We can celebrate that. Hopefully, maybe we'll see him in action at some point. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I wouldn't hold my breath. So that is it for tonight. I do have the Crystal Palace preview for you guys tomorrow, so I will be back for that one tomorrow. Oh, it's Saturday tomorrow already. Jeez. Yikes. I didn't even look at the matches tomorrow. What's going on tomorrow? All right. Let's see what's happening. Okay, again, U18's Manchester Derby, first thing in the morning, 6 a.m. If you guys get MUTV, give that a watch. Go support the youngsters. That could be good to watch. And that kicks off a couple hours before most of the Premier League stuff. Bournemouth-Liverpool, that'll be a fun one. I'll be watching that one for sure. I think that could be a very interesting match. Forest-Brighton, Anything else in other leagues popping up that I might want to watch? Because I do watch some other leagues. Not really. When are Middlesbrough playing? I think Middlesbrough play Monday. If you guys want to watch some more of Hayden Hackney, go watch a little Middlesbrough on Monday. We've got Palace on Sunday, so I will be tomorrow, probably tomorrow, like afternoon. I'll come do a preview for the Palace match. Danny says, nice one, yeah. Box, come on, Bournemouth. Yeah, I really like Andoni Iraola. I think he's doing a very good job. If he can maintain and do something with Bournemouth, he's got an early shot for Manager of the Year for me. And it says big week in fantasy for me. Yeah, let me know who you're picking, man. Any United players you picking against Palace? Maybe Ahmad. Ahmad's worth a shout. Maybe I'd say maybe Ahmad Garnacho probably worth shouts. Maybe Bruno as well. But no Eze, Danny. So if you've got Eze in your team, don't play him because he is injured. He will not be playing. But that's a sneak peek of tomorrow's preview. So until then, you guys. Thank you for stopping by. Please, please, please hit that like button on the way out if you can, because it really does help the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you are new as well. Please, we were just too shy of 2,100 before we started. So, we got there tonight. Oh my gosh, we reached 2,100 subscribers. I'm going to go ahead and gift 5 memberships because I feel like it. I think if I remember how to do this, I don't remember how to do this. There we go. Found it. I'm going to give 5 membership now while we're live to celebrate reaching 2,100. So there you go. You guys Danny's got Bruno in his fantasy. So we have gone ahead and awarded 5 memberships live just as a thank you for helping me reach 2,100 while we were live, because you guys are absolute legends. So appreciate that, everyone, for jumping in and getting. We got JJ, Muhammad Ali, Perlu, Danny. Some of you probably got it again because your memberships expired. Remember, you were gifted memberships and then they expired. You have to activate that. So pretty cool to see that. Get 2,100. We are on the road to 3K. Danny says, cheers, pal. Going to see if I can stream that U20 championship. Yeah. Go check that out. And congrats. Thank you, Box. Appreciate that. That's all from you guys. So until next time, thank you guys for helping me get 2,100 live. And I appreciate you guys doing all that. See you guys tomorrow afternoon for the Palace preview. Go watch the under-18 Manchester Derby tomorrow morning if you can, and then go Bournemouth tomorrow. Until then, take it easy. Thank you guys for stopping by. I will see you on the next one. Later.